Because how do we define health? There is a word called swastha. Yes, health means physical health, mental health, spiritual health. Swastha, the term means being in one's own self. So a Hindu becomes healthy when I am rooted in that spiritual understanding. My name is Indulal. I am an Ayurvedic doctor by profession. I joined Coimbatore Ayurveda College run by Ayurvedic Pharmacy in the year 1985, and I was fortunate that I got to an opportunity to learn Ayurveda in the best possible way at that time. Because this particular course offered by Ayurvedic Pharmacy in Coimbatore was what you call as a modern Gurukula. Gurukulam means the teacher's family. So the teacher, the student all lived in the same campus, and the atmosphere, the ambience, the attitude, everything were very conducive for learning. So this particular course was different in many ways. First is that it was offered completely free of cost, because the selected student, the selection process was very strict, and only many people appeared for getting a seat, and only very few were finally selected. And the selected few, in my batch we were just 9. So the selected few students were offered completely free education. The tuition was free, the accommodation was free, the food was free, everything was free. Because the purpose was to mold genuine Ayurvedic students, genuine Ayurvedic Vaidyas, who will ultimately be helpful for the society. So once selected, we had to undergo 7.5 years of education. So while all the BAMS courses at that time and even now were only for 5.5 years, we got for 7.5 years. It is not just the duration of the course which makes it special. It is also the content, it was also the way we lived a life in that campus was also very helpful in taking us more closer to this traditional medical system. So after completing the 10th standard in India, we joined pre-Ayurveda, 2 years of pre-university program, where we were taught Sanskrit, the basics to the advanced modern sciences like physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, and along with that a detailed introduction to the concepts of Ayurveda. So it is slowly inducting us to the deeper learning of Ayurveda, and then another 5.5 years of Ayurvedic. So because the teacher, the student all lived in the same campus, so the learning, the environment was always set for a continuous learning process. Sometimes it will be formal in a classroom, sometimes it was informal outside the classroom under a tree. And the way of life in that campus was also something very special. Like we started our day very early, starting with yoga, meditation, prayer, chanting, martial art practices, coloring. And then we lived a very simple way of living. We were wearing very simple clothes. We had no exposure to anything that distracted, like say no radio, no tape recorder. Of course, at that time there were no mobiles also. So when you want to learn Ayurveda, we look at many things like qualification, eligibility. The present criteria is totally different. But if you look at the classical Ayurvedic text, it says that the basic requirement to learn Ayurveda is to have that inner readiness, like say spiritual inclination to learn. So the purpose of this particular course, the initial purpose was to create that inner readiness or acceptability to take up this study. So the way I haven't finished my studies, I am just in that process even now. But I am happy that we got introduced into that particular system and we have that readiness to learn in that. So that process continues. So when you have that, when you are put in that track of learning process, constantly thinking Ayurveda, constantly wanting to know more, constantly trying to excel in it. So that was the purpose of such a particular program. So we got a degree certificate, we got registered as a medical practitioner. It all happened, formal things happened. But what we are considering grateful to the organization, what we consider as blessed to take is that because we were in an environment, a natural environment where the teachers, the curriculum, the living, everything put us on the right track of Ayurveda. So we people, nearly 100 plus students who were fortunate to go through that process, have in our own way did our best to sustain, to protect or to continue that tradition of authentic Ayurveda. So that is what I have to say about my course. And currently, after completing my course, I continued as a doctor in Ayurveda pharmacy, and I am finishing my 22nd year now. And right now, I hold a position, Deputy Director Technical. There I look after, and I am basically stationed in the main hospital campus, Ayurveda Chikitsalayam and Research Institute. Currently, my duty mainly involved all the informal academic activities of Ayurveda pharmacy, including all the international collaborations, designing programs for foreign partners and then conducting that program, in addition to the other routine clinical and other activities. See, when we need to look at it in two aspects. Ayurveda means Ayurveda means the knowledge of life. So that's one way to look at Ayurveda. And when you look at life, knowing life, the platform is spiritual, because that is something that is continuous, and the body is something which is only transient. It is there only for a shorter period. So the continuity is only the spiritual continuity. The material continuity is it changes. Other is to look at it as a medical system. So diseases, treatment. So there you can forget. That is like even the modern medical system is like that. So when we want to look at in the right way of Ayurveda, when you are dealing with life, or when you are learning life, or when you are addressing problems of life, the platform needs to be always spiritual. So it is said that there is an inner healer in all the patients who come in. If I think that it is my medicine or the treatment that are acting, I am working on a physical platform, I am working as a doctor there. But if I am appreciating and respecting the healer inside the patient, which is his or her spiritual core strength, then I am working at a spiritual level. So that is the ideal way of dealing with Ayurveda. So for that reason, it is said that if you learn, you can by heart all the slokas, you can analyze it in the best possible way. But if you don't have that core inner strength, you fail to be a complete Ayurvedic physician. So one more point to add is that in India, everything is spiritual. So we don't, in its real sense, there is no classification as material and spiritual. In its Indian philosophy, everything is spiritual.
Yeah.
So there is, because we have started classifying things as spiritual and non-spiritual, we need to be reminded at times that there is a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
A temple is a reminder in that.
Yeah.
A temple is a reminder in a material form. You have a structure, you have an idol, you have rituals, all happening by you see it, you hear it, you smell it, you taste it.
Yeah.
So it is a reminder that there is a spiritual connection in it. So it is not that there ends it. Going to the temple or worshipping Dhanvantari is all good, but it is all this are just a reminder that there is a higher spiritual realm. Because we are, I'm talking in a very general term, not that you or me or anything. We are all in a very material platform. We believe things which we see. We believe only things which we hear. So we need to present that in a physical form, in the form of a temple, in the form of an idol, in the form of rituals, in the form of offerings made there. But it is all signifying that there is a higher spiritual. You have to remember. But when not that it is happening only in Ayurvedic pharmacy, but if you look at Ayurvedic pharmacy, you look at this hospital. It is not an Ayurvedic hospital. It is Ayurvedic Chikilsalayam. Alayam means a temple. It's a temple of healing. The founder of this temple, especially the managing director, that he considers the hospital as an extension of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So there is seriously, even in practical terms, there is no distinction between the temple and the hospital.
Yes.
If certain people find it very acceptable, and certain people find it a little problem in accepting that also.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at the history of the hospital. If you look at it, you find it very traditional, find very spiritual, many temple being the center, as you said,
mm-hmm.
of the activity. You find at one stage, and at one side you see that. On the other side you find many international researchers and other thing which is on the other side. So both are being done by the same people, started by the same people. So certain people look at the spiritual side, there is a temple, there are many rituals going on there. Other people with the research mind, they see the research and other treatments and the other the accomplishments of the company. Mm-hmm. But in reality, the both are truly connected. So what I mean to say is that it is possible to make the whole activity spiritual.
Yeah.
There is no actually the head of the temple and the head of the research initiations is the same person. But only when you look at it, you see two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no, religion is one way of expression of spirituality in according to certain time, certain place, certain culture in that. So when it comes to there will be a difference. There is Hindu culture, Hindu rituals, Hindu religion is totally different from Christian culture, Christian religion, Christian rituals in that. Same with other. So when you look at this, there are differences in that. But what I am telling is that if you forget that and see the spiritual content, then there is no difference in it. Because you are surrendering to a higher power. You are surrendering to the core. You are surrendering to the essence. You are surrendering to the truth. So there is no difference in that. So there you can be a Christian, you can be a highly 100%. You don't have to see what is Hindu, nothing. You can be and still be the best Ayurvedic. And there are many great Christian Ayurvedic doctors. There are great Muslim Ayurvedic doctors. It is not that you. But when a Hindu doctor practice in a ritualistic way, he practices spirituality, he follows that religious thing. That's all. But we need to keep this rituals, you need to keep the forms behind and then just look at the spirituality. It is the same for all religion.
Right.
Because how do we define health? There is a word called swastha. Yes, health means physical health, mental health, spiritual health. Swastha, the term means being in one's own self. So a Hindu becomes healthy when I am rooted in that spiritual understanding. A Christian is healthy when he is in that Christian spiritual understanding. So we need to forget the differences in the material form and get united in that spiritual form and remain in that. That is healthy for all. Yeah?
Very nice.
So nothing prevents from it, because you see, even much before communications were faster, even available, people have come from far off places seeking knowledge in India. So the universities known as Nalanda, Takshashila, which is in the form of a revival now, had scholars coming from other religious things, other civilizations. Even people who never believed in religion, atheists, they had come and learned in that. So knowledge is something that links, spirituality is that linking. Anything that makes differences, a language, culture, religion, that has no place in that true seeking. That's a very good. Everything should respond differently, because it is all Indian systems are experiential. So if you ask the questions about how it has, how it is for you, it will differ, because it is again an individualistic process. Like we say that the treatment offered to patients are different. You teach the same Ayurveda to 20 people in that day. The 20 may take it in reception in the 20 different ways. It is the shape of the container. So to me personally, it has, I won't claim myself to be a teacher or a physician or anything. No, I'm not making any claims. I don't have any claims also to me. But personally, to me, Ayurveda is something which is responsible for psychological, spiritual transformation. So without that, even I think Ayurveda insists on thinking that it should help us to transform. For me, it is an agent of transformation in that. So not that it gets completed in one lifetime, but to me, I got initiated into that transformation process because of Ayurveda. So if you ask me what is Ayurveda for me, it is an agent of transformation. See, I faced all difficulties a beginner will face. So I got into Ayurveda without having any knowledge in Sanskrit. So getting used to that language, even I was an Indian, I was here studying in India, I got introduced to Sanskrit only when I joined. So one difficulty was that. Like that, all the difficulties all the students usually face, an average student faces during his curriculum, I have gone through that difficulty. But see, I personally look at life as a larger picture than career, and at least at this stage of life I do that. When you look at from Ayurveda from that perspective, at certain age of life, say 46 right now, you go through a transformatory phase again at that stage of life. So there, the difficulty in using these principles, the force needed to adhere to this, as I said, the agent of transformation, the principles, and being able to go through that process comfortably, successfully, that is the difficult task. So I am right now saying that I am going through that process, and I have surrendered completely to that process right now. But it like any human being, I'm not taking an Ayurvedic doctor, but with the backup of Ayurveda there, right? You go through the life processes, and the difficulty is in holding on to your only knowledge is Ayurveda, only little bit of Ayurveda. Holding on to that knowledge and going through that process, that is the difficulty. And when you come out of that, that's also a very pleasureful process. You realize that. See, Ayurveda is in a state of transition. It's also going through a transformation, because all the science and all the knowledge systems of India it's something which is a permanent part of it. Like the concept of the doshas, dhatus, it will never change. It will remain the same. But there is another part of it which gets changed according to different times and different places. So we need to. It has gone through that process, it is going through that process, it will also go through that process again. So there is no, we need to be accept that. But coming back to the first statement that it is going through a transition. So the future of Ayurveda, I would say that eventually it will emerge as in a global Ayurveda phenomenon. So where it will have two strong components in that. One component would be a scientific Ayurveda, where everything being presented in a logical, scientific, analytical, all the research and other things in part of it. So other would be a spiritual, life transforming, a little bit mystical and other component. So you find there will be no difference between West or East at that time. You will find certain people following this scientific mode of Ayurveda and few people following that spiritual mode. The same in India and same in Western. So like say if you could take Brazil, maybe a research professor will be interested in seeing one aspect of Ayurveda, subjecting, analyzing it into modern scientific methodology. Yeah. But there will be another group who wants to learn Ayurveda as a Upaveda or something that came from the Vedas. So these two aspects of Ayurveda are going to get stronger in that. And that is going to have a global presence, both in India and Brazil. There won't be any difference, East or West. See, that is a very, very important question, because unfortunately the rules, the regulations, the regulatory authorities, all are scientific in nature. So a scientific acceptance of, very recently you find that a study that happiness has no role in longevity. But we believe just the opposite. True Ayurveda says that a happy person should have a healthy life. So there comes a contradiction in that. So whether we can subject all such Ayurvedic concepts into a scientific pathology, it's definitely out of question. So when the people who are to formally accept Ayurveda have only one condition, that if you want to accept it, it should go through that scientific process. Okay? Then acceptance for the spiritual, psychological or the holistic thing may not be there. I fear so. But the other thing get accepted. So this is something, a cause of concern also, I would say, because the accepted, scientific, approved, legal Ayurveda will be just a portion of the real Ayurveda, like what is for the traditional Chinese medicine in that way. So you take the scientific aspect and then accept it, promote it. So I fear that. But these two components are going to be really strong, and I pray that there will be a healthy communication between that and an acceptance that one cannot exist without the other. I'm not telling that spiritual component alone can sustain. No, there should be scientific. So like Einstein said, no, science without religion and religion without science. So a perfect balance should be that. This should not go as disconnected entities in that. They should actually overlap together. So that should be the, if everybody into Ayurveda should try to take both together and then take that. See, first thing is that whether it is learning or undergoing a treatment, first is to understand that it is a process. It is not just like you take a pill and then or you sit for 2 months and then you have finished the learning process. No, we need that, allow that time period for either for the treatment course to complete, that process to get completed, or the learning process to be completed. So major difficulty is in finding people committing to that longer processes. So that is the major difficulty which we have from people who come. But there are two types of people who come. Like say a patient who is totally surrendered to it, either because physically in a desperate condition or the person has total faith in the system. So there they come. The physician can logically decide that okay, you are going to be under Ayurveda care for 6 months or 1 year. They have no problem, they are ready, willing to come. Or a student who comes and doesn't want to have it in capsule form, but subjecting that I just want to know Ayurveda, I want to learn and I am ready for a longer process. But at least initiate me into it. So even when we offer short programs in that, we only say that you are being initiated into Ayurveda, not that you are going to learn complete Ayurveda. So the major difficulty in finding people submitting themselves to that processes. Then there are practical difficulty in staying and then getting used to the language, to the cultures, even to the food, or to the processes. Like taking patient will have difficulty, palatability issues of bitter medicines or that. But whether it is a learning or a student will have difficulty in understanding the accent of the teacher or difficulty in learning in a classical way. But there is one thing that is very important is the need of awareness. Whether you are going through a difficult treatment process, we take bitter medicines, you go through strict diet regimen, you stay away from family for treatment. So you go through a lot of difficulties as a patient. Same with the student also, that you are learning a new language, you are learning a new way of looking at the body, you are learning to think in a new way. So all these things should happen with a good level of awareness. Like say we say we don't inject anything into the body, like no injections like that. Nothing is forcefully done. Only if at all we do some treatments only through the natural orifices. And we don't have anesthesia. We don't put the patient to sleep and do something. So because there is a need of awareness that the mind accepts, is aware of what is being given to the system, either in the form of medicine or in the form of a lesson, and then you accept it in a better way. So second issue is in having that state of awareness. So first is a commitment to undergo through a process. Second is the difficulties in creating that level of awareness. Either to go through that process of medication, treatment, etc., or to go through a learning process. So there is a similarity in the way both the patient and the student behaves in those two aspects. See, one thing is that we find it very promising, not in the terms of business technically. Promising is that the growing popularity of Ayurveda in Latin America. So we started our association many years back. We still continue and we plan many things to do. Because that's a positive thing, because there is a learning tendency there. So the positive thing. So the tip to people who have undergone programs is that never to stop, because countries like Brazil have got a lot of cultural, climate, even certain language similarities because of the colonization, common thing, Kerala and all. But there are many ways the similarity. There are many similarity within flora, fauna, etc. So we need to more than identifying the dissimilarities, we need to see the similarities between the two great countries, politically, scientifically, spirituality, whatever we can, and try to explore all the learning opportunities available. The need which we have seen that when we develop a new course or we go from basic course to specialized programs in that, because there is a need for people to graduate from one level to the other to that level. So as we said about learning as a process, in that way we need to explore mostly how to be more closer to Ayurveda, more closer to the classical way of learning, and how to keep updating our knowledge on a regular program. Because you can learn Ayurveda in months time, you can learn in 1 hour time, you can learn something about Ayurveda. And you can also, if you are good, you can also effectively use that and then. But thinking that that is complete is a great sin we do to Ayurveda, and we do to ourselves also, because we are dealing with a spiritual science, not just a material. So one is to accept that you are always in a learning process, and then keep exploring what is more authentic, what is taking you from one level to the other level. So keep continuing doing that, and more receptive to people. There should not be any without any conflict, with a good intention. Whoever offers the best education process should slowly progress. Because opportunities are unlimited, infinite possibilities, as someone has said. So we need to keep exploring that. So that's my tip.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.
Welcome. Namaste.